Okay, I'm here now.
Rita's here tonight?
No, I think they're still assembling. Good Shabbos. All right, the Torah portion for this Shabbat is Shemot, and I'm warm, just like Egypt. Shabbos, thank you for coming. All right, I'm good, yes. I want to wish,
I agree.
this is great. I told you the joke, didn't I tell you the joke?
No.
This is the joke. The joke.
Yeah.
The rabbi and the priest are talking, and the priest is. I told you this one.
No.
Oh, the priest says to the rabbi, "I don't understand your people. When I go to visit your temple, there's noise, there's tumult. People don't pay attention. People are too busy speaking among themselves. You come to my church. Oh, and they're all yelling. And you come to my church," says the priest, "and people are sitting quietly, maybe we're noodling a little bit on the organ, and when the services start, everybody looks at the board on the wall so they can see what psalm we're doing, and people are moving." They're not moving in the church, they're moving in the shul.
Sorry.
The wandering people, yes.
It's called
Yes.
It's Candace's fault. His family's
Not
coming
my
in.
fault. It's both my fault. They make us
Anyway,
move.
back to the church, So in the church, people whisper, they don't speak, it's all very polite and quiet. And why is there such a difference? And the rabbi goes, "I will tell you." You see who comes in now. The rabbi goes, "I will tell you. Your God is a young man. He's 30 years old. His hearing is very good. Our God is very old. He is so old we have to yell to get his attention. And that is the reason for that." Okay.
And there's another one.
Hello? Shabbos live. Are you coming?
The concept that the Kansas family is sitting here. Kansas family is sitting.
The rule is that if you wait for complete and utter silence, you're going to be waiting a long time. Let me say it now. I'm going out of town. I have been called to St. Petersburg, which I understand is very close to Moscow. Hello. And
Thank you.
anyway, that's where Beth and I will be. We will be in the Gentile portion of Florida, which is getting bigger by the minute, but still, we're catching up with New York, but we're not quite as low. We did catch up. Is it the city or the state?
When are you going, Rabbi, when are you going to?
We're leaving sometime at the beginning of next week.
To go where?
We're going to St. Petersburg. See, now I have your attention. And we're organizing a trip. We have a bus, so anyone who wants to go with me on a tour of St. Petersburg,
That's a fabulous
supposed to
city.
be beautiful.
Why are we going
I
there?
understand. I don't know. This is probably going to sound racist,
Are we
and
talking
believe
about
me.
Russia or Florida?
I thought it was Russia, but you told me it was Florida. I'm not racist or anything, but people tell me that is the Gentile end of Florida. That when you go north, you go south.
Yeah, it's so.
I don't think so.
Go to the Dali
So
Museum.
I will
It's
tell
awesome.
you. I will tell you the story of when Ann Beth and I and the kids all went for a family junket to Amelia Island. Do you know Amelia Island?
Yeah.
Neither do I. I've been there. They said, "Okay, you're here." I don't know where I am. We call it a family junket because I paid for it. Anyway, the kids had a great time. They were in the water, da-da-da-da. So we go, of course, to a quality lodging where they have a free breakfast, because, hey, what's the
Free
point?
is free.
Although I noticed that the free breakfast is tending a lot more towards the carbs than previously. You know, anyway, and the eggs are powdered. It was like eating in the army, which I've never been. All right, so I'm sitting there with my family, enjoying a lovely breakfast, and a young man from 2 tables down says, "Excuse me, sir," and I say, "Yes," and he goes, "Where are y'all from?" And you see, I can translate that where y'all from.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to scare the heck out of him by saying I'm from New York City, which is clearly the domicile of the devil. So I said New Hampshire, because we were living in New Hampshire at the time. Oh, he says, you talk funny. I said, well, when you go back to high school, you tell your civics teacher or whoever it is that you met a genuine New Yorker, and yes, we do talk funny. Because I tell my students, I said, this is English class, this is English comp. I'm going to be teaching basic this coming term, along with American Lit Survey in the evening. So if I'm talking about Edgar Allan Poe, it's after 6. If I'm talking about subject, verb, and so on, it's in the morning. And I say, in this country, we say that we speak English. We do not speak English. We speak American. And I, myself, do not even speak American. I speak New York. You know, cup of coffee. Okay, things like that. And I'm walking here. See, I know my Dustin Hoffman too.
Yeah.
So let's switch to another well-known country where the Jews lived for, I think, 400 years. 400 years. That's the Midrash. That's the legend. Fact is, they didn't have watches, so they tried telling time by looking at the sun, but it hurts your eyes after a while. Okay, anyway, so, all right, here's the modern story. The modern story is, remember who, I'm not mentioning his name because we don't talk politics, just gave the Medal of Honor, the civilian equivalent of the Medal of Honor, to Anwar Sadat. Well, Anwar Sadat truly was a great Arab leader. He had really a great vision, but he wasn't very much with the particulars. Poor fellow. Anyway, the story goes that after all that business with going back and forth, my jet, your jet, Menachem Begin and Anwar Sadat, and of course Menachem Begin was the last person on earth who spoke to make peace with anybody, even his wife. Anwar Sadat has Begin to his office. And of course, his office has a lovely view of Rockefeller Center, the pyramids. And Anwar Sadat says, Mr. Prime Minister, he says, because you can see he was already close with Begin. I don't think anybody could get close with Begin, but he was a brilliant man, let him rest in peace. Another Polish lawyer, I'm Polish myself. And look at those beautiful pyramids. Have you ever seen anything so beautiful in your life? And Begin gives that little Begin smile and says, of course, Mr. President, we built it. So, what is that, a shtach or a krechts? Where you put in the dagger and you twist it. That's a shtach. That is a shtach. Well, what's a krechts? What's a krechts?
That's a pain.
Oh, that's just a pain. Oh, okay. All right, I'll go with shtach. Well, so there we are in Egypt. Why are we in Egypt? There was, okay, in the land of Israel, there was a double feature. A famine, or a really big swimming pool? A famine, very good. Famines were not uncommon in Israel because we've discussed this in the past. They had very irregular rainfall. The weather center was out of business because there was a shutdown. And so the Israelites moved down to Egypt. Who's in charge in Egypt in those days?
Pharaoh.
Second in command?
Joseph.
Yes, Joseph. Joseph was running the show. Joey, my boy, Yasala. Joseph is running the show, and you know, I've said this, it's not in the text, but I truly believe that he has all of these Egyptian types behind his back saying, wait till the little Hebrew boy messes up, and then we'll be all over him like white on rice. I just love cliches. Don't you think that might have been true? So he makes up for it by out-Egyptianing the Egyptians. And a lot of Jews do that historically. My gosh, we've had, intercessors, shtadlanim. Do you know what a shtadlan is? A shtadlan in the Middle Ages, or a little bit later, as late as the 18th century, was the Jew who would approach the ruler in a very humble fashion to try and get a few crumbs for his people. And sometimes it worked, and sometimes he ended up getting hanged. There's a famous case of a fellow named Sus Oppenheimer, and he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Well, anyway, let's talk about the happy stuff. Oh, there's no happy stuff. Well, we have a lot of children.
You can make it up.
They're very prolific. Why did the Israelites have so many babies?
Because it was always dark.
Because they had no cable. So the Israelites are popping them out like nobody's business, and of course, who gets worried? The Pharaoh. Now, who is the Pharaoh at this point? Okay, I think Seti II was the Pharaoh of the Joseph period, and probably Ramses II. There's always, you never wonder what happened to Seti #1 or Ramses I. It didn't last very
But they
long.
have a big temple for Ramses.
Yes, Ramses was a great builder. That's where they get the connection between the Israelites and Ramses, because when you need something built, you get a contractor. And how long does he say it'll take to build the pyramid? 2 weeks. And then he vanishes, and P.S. the pyramid never gets built. There were a lot more pyramids then than now. Because if you could afford it, if you were the Pharaoh, you got a stone pyramid made out of sandstone. What a surprise. Okay?
Oh, yes, she is.
But if you could not afford it, what was your pyramid made out of? I'm sorry, I'm going to... Oh, thank you.
Where do you see that?
If you couldn't afford it, what was your pyramid made out of? Mud brick. Mud brick, exactly.
That's the 3
And,
little pigs.
sorry?
Yeah.
That's like the 3 little pigs. Straw.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's well known that the 3 little pigs built their pyramids out of brick. Okay. Not mud brick. It wasn't mud brick. It was, I'm sorry, I don't know.
Straw, then
Maybe they tell the pig story differently in my neighborhood. Okay. So anyway, most of the pyramids have since crumbled. But Ramses II, he truly was great. They called him Ramses the Great. He was not a nice person, probably not. But he stood well over 6 feet tall, which was very unusual in those days because most of the locals were about my height. I'm 5'8". No, I'm actually 5'7.5". I'm growing down now, you know, God wants me. Yes, it happens. And my people were not very tall. I tell my students the National Basketball Association, for some reason, is not looking for Polish people like me. I don't know why. All right. So what happens is that Ramses is the great builder. He stands over 6 feet tall. We know exactly what he looks like, at least what he looks like now, because we have his mummy. And the story I love to tell about Ramses goes back a ways. What happens is that he is ensconced in the Egyptian Museum in Cairo, which is a much better place for it than if it were in Brooklyn. And they're examining his mummy, his corpse. And they find that a parasite has gotten into Ramses and is eating him, not alive, but is consuming whatever is left of him. So they have to do something about this. And they call upon the world's best experts for cleaning out mummies, who apparently are a group of French surgeons. They put Ramses on a plane. He's the very first pharaoh in Egyptian history to go for a ride on a plane. They didn't mention that he was dead, but hey, I don't know if they put him in a seat or in the hold. And they gave him extra peanuts. So they take him to France, and while they're cleaning him out, they get around the cardiac area, and what do they notice? He has hardening of the arteries of the heart. What does that mean? Come on,
The
what does
diet.
that relate to?
Bad diet.
God hardened his heart. That's what it says in the Torah. So for me, this added another layer to the story. But we'll never be able to prove who was Ramses II.
You're going a little far.
Oh, he went to France.
Yeah,
I've never
pushing
been.
it.
I was in France for a half hour. It was a cruise. We were in Cannes for one entire half hour, long enough
That
to take
long?
a picture of the fountain. Let's do this. The children of Israel multiply in Egypt, and if you read the names of the children, you'll find they do have Egyptian-sounding names. Pinchas is an Egyptian name. For example, Moses. How does he get his name? Because it says in the Torah, Ki min hamaya mishitehu, for he was drawn out of the water, because his mother put him in a little reed basket and floated him down the Nile. That's not the meaning of his name. That's a rabbinic midrash built into the text. Ramses means son of Ra. Thutmose means son of Thut. Moses means son of... No, we don't know. The Moses ending means son of. We have no idea who his father is. Now in the text it does say that his father is Amram, but Amram is just there long enough to implant him and then he's gone. We don't see him ever again in the text. We do know he's a Levi, so I suppose we should be grateful that Amram remembered he was a Levi. The Israelites, as I say, are extremely prolific. Who are the two midwives? Shifra and Puah. And why are they called Shifra and Puah? Well, Shifra was Rabbi Nolman's older daughter, and I was totally in love with her. She was 16 and I was 7, and she was going to wait for me. Okay? Puah means that she made little pooing noises to calm the children. This is Rashi. Okay? You can go with Rashi or not. Rashi also says that Shifra and Puah are Yocheved and Miriam. What do you say? Are Yocheved and Miriam, when she's not spinning reed baskets, she's helping birth babies?
Sounds good.
Well, that's Rashi. But that's a Rashi commentary. It's not even Rashi. He's quoting a midrash. He's quoting a legend. I'm saying there are 4 different people, 4 wonderful women, and they themselves carried on Judaism. Later on, Miriam gets some bad press, but she's a Nevi'ah. She's a prophet, somewhat below Moses, because Moses, and you got to know this going in, all right? And I guess I can buy this. I don't know. You tell me. Moses is the chief of the prophets, both of those who preceded and those who followed him. There was no prophet like Moses. He spoke with God the way I'm speaking with you. No dream, no vision, no cloud, straight on, perfect reception. Azoy. What do you think?
No.
Yes,
Cable.
maybe.
Yeah, cable.
He did have cable, yes. But he never paid the bill. They were too busy walking around.
Okay.
All right. So Ramses says to the, I'm sorry?
Wi-Fi.
Yes. Ramses says, what does Ramses say? Ramses says, and this is the other weird thing, the king of Egypt, for gosh sakes, the Egyptian empire is one of the most powerful on earth in those days. And yet he finds time to talk to 2 midwives. And he says to them, hey, midwives, how come you don't get there in time to enforce my command? Namely that if it's a boy baby, you toss it into the Nile, whereas if it's a girl baby, you can let her stay alive. Look, I'm not genocidal, please. I've had teachers who were that way. But I have to say, wouldn't it make more sense to keep the boys, toss the boy, no wait, no wait, the girls are going to give birth.
Nothing
Well,
makes
you
sense.
need
Not
guys
because
to
boys
help.
aren't
You need a guy
around.
to help.
Come on. Unless you're the
I
Virgin
don't know, unless you're
Mary.
going matrilineal and it's early for
How
that.
about the Virgin Mary? That makes sense.
That's not our... She puts, Yocheved weaves a reed basket, puts Moses in, he goes down the Nile, and his sister Miriam keeps an eye on him. Not the last time in his life that she's going to do that. Miriam really, there ought to be a book of Miriam, okay? Miriam deserves a little more publicity than she gets.
This is Miriam.
Hi, Miriam. How do you do? We'll talk
You
later.
deserve a lot more.
Yes, I agree with you, certainly, okay? Just stay away from the Nile because it's muddy. And really, the Nile River, the Egyptians treated the Nile the same way that the Indians treated the Ganges. I'm not being, again, racist, but you can't use it for drinking if you're using it for other stuff, okay? So he grows up in the palace, and the princess of Egypt says, oh boy, I always wanted a little boy. I apparently am unable to have babies myself because I'm not married. But, and Miriam comes up to her and says, how would you like I find you a wet nurse? And she says, go, which is probably the shortest sentence in the entire Torah. Okay? And Miriam goes, and whom does she fetch?
Her brother.
Yocheved, her mother.
Oh,
So he grows up in the palace, in Pharaoh's palace, with not 1, but 2 mothers. His adoptive mother, the princess of Egypt, whose name is Bitya. Well, it's Bitya. You could say Batya too. Who converts to Judaism, right? Rashi again. How? What's Judaism that you convert to it? I don't know.
Believe that?
Do I believe it? No, that's why I get to tell you folks.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. And Yocheved, who's his natural mother, and that accounts, here it comes, that accounts for Moses' issues with women later on. I mean, think about that for a second. The guy's got 2 women telling him, don't do that, don't go there, be home before 10 o'clock. Who is that boy I saw you with? Who is that girl I saw you with? So in the end, he gives himself some relief by going out among his people. And what does he behold? Behold, I'll give you a hint. Egyptian taskmaster
Being
and
a
Hebrew slave. By the way, we're not Jews yet, we're Hebrews. Okay? Right. He kills the Egyptian and buries his body in the sand. The next morning he goes out and he sees 2 Israelites quarreling, Hebrews, whatever. And he breaks up the fight and he says, what's the matter with you guys? The enemy is not us, the enemy is out there. And the 2 Israelites, instead of saying, oh, you're right, geez, thank Moe, they say, who made you a lord and master over us? Are you going to kill us like you killed the Egyptian? And Moses feared and said, surely the matter is known. Isn't that great? I love the way they talk. Yes, sir.
Does it mention how he killed the Egyptian?
He had a small but effective pistol in his belt. We don't know. Honestly, Mordechai, we don't know. He probably strangled him. Or maybe he picked up a big stick. Or maybe he... I couldn't... You know, that never came up in yeshiva. That's a good thing. We'll do a course about that. All right. So, now this is the thing. Who are these two guys? This I like. Who are these two guys? Because you got people like this in every organization.
Manny, Mo, and John.
No. Datan and Aviram. And in the Ten Commandments, that blockbuster from 1956 with all the nifty special effects, both Datan and Aviram, actually they call him Dason, are played by Edward G. Robinson. Moses, why are you picking on us, Moses? What's wrong with you? Let's go yell at Ramses, Moses.
So
I
good.
think that is so cool. That is the coolest thing. And he was Jewish. He was very proud of his Jewishness. It was Emanuel Goldenberg, I think, before he went Hollywood. Okay. So Moses lights out for Midian that night, and things really ought to be okay at this point. He gets into the family of Jethro, or Yitro, the high priest of Midian, who has a very nice little cattle raising business. And of course, in the great Jewish sense, although, is Jethro Jewish?
No.
Yes, but Rashi says he was. Rashi says he examined all the available religions and he decided on Judaism. That's why in the famous Village Well scene, you remember the Village Well scene, who doesn't remember the Village Well scene? His daughter Tzipora gets driven away by the shepherds. Because, as we all know, shepherds are expert theologians, and they're not going to, hang out with a woman who's Israelite. Okay, he marries Tzipora, and Tzipora, here's another person who needs more sympathy. Oh, Tzipora was black. Excuse me, Moses was black. They were all black. Okay, it's Egypt. Where's Egypt? What continent?
Africa.
Yes, okay, all right. So, anyway, Tzipora and Moses get married, and he gets into the family business, because that's what Jewish sons-in-law do. And one day he's out with the sheep and the goats. No camels yet. I don't think we have camels yet. No camels?
Not domesticated.
Not domesticated camels, okay? Camels with really bad manners. Okay, anyway, so, and one of the little lambs runs away, and what does he do? He pursues it, he chases it, because he says, oh my God, there goes meat on the hoof. And this is before Jewish veganism, okay? Actually, he was a vegan. He only looked at the goats and the sheep. And he comes upon a snare bo'er ba'esh. It was a bush, and it was burning, but it was not consumed. V'hasneh einenu ukal. The bush was not consumed. That is the seal, the symbol of the Jewish Theological Seminary, by the way. I don't know why they chose that particular one. And whom does he meet for the first time? God. And God says, Moses, Moses. They always repeat. You know why? Because Jews don't listen. Abraham, Abraham, Moses, Moses, Joshua, Joshua. It's like, come on, God. Hey. And God says, the place on which you stand is holy ground. Take off your shoes. And then he gives them this whole thing to do. You see, the first Torah portion is way, way packed. Okay? And he says, I want you to go into Egypt and free my people, and that's all I want you to do. Have a nice day. And Moses says, no. And God says, no, you understand I'm God here, okay? I'm the first invisible God in theology. I can't say Jewish history because it's not history, it's the Torah. And Moses says, I can't go, I'm a fugitive from justice, I don't speak well, I stammer, the midrash with the coal and all that business. Again, that's a legend. Who are you anyway? Which I think is a useful question. And God says, just like it says on the ark in the big room, Eheyeh asher eheyeh. I am that which I am, or I am what I am, which I always think is the Popeye name for God. And what does it mean? When you go to see the Israelites, tell them that I am has sent you. For me, it means God exists, which is tricky because, as we discussed in the past, 27% of Jews don't believe in God, but they do believe in Judaism, and I think that's fine. It's not my favorite name for God, but it's a great intro. You see? Because this is the God, and with this I'll conclude, who reaches out of heaven and into human history. And that's a very important theological point. God is not only the Borei Olam, the creator of the universe, God is also, as we used to say in yeshiva, Hashgacha Pratis, Hashgacha Pratit. God is divine providence. His eye is on the sparrow. Now, how does this figure when bad things happen to good people? That's another thing, okay? That's another subject. But what I love about the whole thing is, this is where it all comes from. Did Moses exist? I don't know. We haven't found any. When people move around, they're not going to leave any archaeological remains. And archaeology is wonderful, but you're never going to find Bathsheba's nightgown or Samson's razor. It just doesn't work that way. But the Torah portion ends, go down to Egypt, free my people, and at this point we take out the box of matzah and the horseradish, and we're off to the races. Okay? Shabbat Shalom, good Shabbos. All right?
And if you believe that.
It's not a matter of belief, it's a matter of what are you doing about
You
it?
can tell us another one.
Do
I'm not
something
doing a
about
thing.
it. I'm sorry, what?
I said, I'm not doing a thing, I'm just listening.
But you're in temple. That says something. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I'm here because of
Is
you.
support,
So say, not because of God.
cosmetics business?
I'm sorry?
Support in the
If someone comes
cosmetics.
striking for that stealing a movie.
Okay, what's the punchline?
Support, was she in the cosmetic business?
I don't
He is
Sephora.
funny.
Sephora's in the mall, the Galleria.
I love it. Oh, no, oh,
Sorry.
Sephora.
That side of the room's gonna be wiped out in a minute.
Good morning, Q.
This side's safe, that side's gone.
Oh, again, no Wednesday class, and I will not be here this coming Shabbat. Okay, because I'm going to St. Petersburg. I'll be here tomorrow.
Another half hour.
Yes, St. Petersburg, Russia.
Very nice.
I'm glad to hear it. Yes, I look forward to the onion domes.
Shabbat, 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 Shabbat. Soll sein jeden Shabbat. Shabbat soll sein, Shabbat soll sein. Shabbat soll vom ganzen Welt. Sholem, 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 Sholem. Soll sein jeden Sholem. Sholem soll sein, Shalom soll sein, Shabbat soll vom ganzen Welt. Klick weg, klick, 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 soll sein jeden Klick, klick, soll sein, Shalom soll sein, Shabbat soll sein, Shabbat soll vom ganzen Welt. Others with their cover. Gesundheit, 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 soll sein jeden Gesundheit. Gesundheit soll sein, glücklich soll sein, Shabbat soll sein, Shabbat soll vom ganzen Welt. What can we can ask? We are together, we are happy, we are healthy.
Tell them what the song means.
Yes, so let's.
Legs.
That is what we are singing. So
Okay.
let's go to like the candles.
Oh, right, yes. Well,
Right away. Yes,
okay,
get up,
like that.
stand up there.
Okay.
It's okay, you just have to strike them. All right, all the ladies perambulate in this direction. Yes, yes.
How you doing?
Right back, Liam.
We know you.
Okay, we wave our hands over the candles, we cover our eyes and sing the blessing together.
Asher Kisham B'mitzvotav B'tzivanu
v'tzivanu lehadlik ner. V'tzivanu v'tzivanu lehadlik ner. V'tzivanu v'tzivanu lehadlik ner. Shem Shabbat. Amen.
Person next to you, good Shabbat. Oh, fabulous, that's great.
Good job, honey.
Good, so I haven't followed Daryl's name.
Shabbos 12. Lainey. Elaine.
Hello, morning, Shabbos.
Good Shabbos, my friend. How are you?
ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא בואכם לשלום מלכי השלום מלכי עליון ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא יא לי לה 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 יא לי לה 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 יא לי לה 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 יא לה 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 יא לה 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 יא לי לה 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 יא לי לה 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 יא לי לה לה ברכוני לשלום מלאכי השלום מלאכי עליון ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא צדקם ושלום מלאכי השלום מלאכי עליון ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא יא לי לה 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 יא לי לה 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 יא לי 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 לה
Page 14, you did Nefesh.
ידידי נפש אברחמן לשוך חלק ברצונך ירוץ עבדך כמו אייל איש ברחבל כמו
All right, page 21 is the Lachadodi.
Okay, third time in a row. Let's see how you are progressing with the Lechadodi. 1, 2, 3. Lechadodi, Lechakala, Pele Shabbat, Lekavela, Lechadodi, Lechakala, Pele Shabbat, Lekavela, Shamor Vesakor Vedimor Echad, Ishmiano El Ameyuchad, Adonai Echad, Ushmo Echad, Veshem Letiferet Venitehilah, Lechadodi, Lekachala, Pele Shabbat, Lekavela, Lechadodi, Lekachala, Pele Shabbat, Lekavela, Nikra'at Shabbat, Lechuber El Chag, Ki hi mekor habracha, merosh mikedem neresukah, sof ba'aseh b'machshava techilah, lechadodi, lekachala, Pele Shabbat, Lekavela, Lechadodi, Lekachala, Pele Shabbat, Lekavela.
Please rise. We've got the fourth stanza on 22. Face the door through which the Sabbath queen will enter. At the end of this, we bow towards the door, we bow towards the ark, and the Sabbath queen is over there with a picture book. Okay.
Shalom, Materet Malach, Gam Besimcha, Ubetzorah, Lo Chevureh, Am Segulah, Boikara, Lechadodi, Lekachala, Pele Shabbat, Lekavela, Lechadodi, Lekachala, Pele Shabbat, Lekavela, Lechadodi, Lekachala, Pele Shabbat, Lekavela, Lechadodi, Lekachala, Pele Shabbat,
All right, please remain standing. We'll turn directly to the Baruch Hu. We're going to ask Dr. and Mrs. Stein, who came all the way from Toronto to open the ark for us. So, I thought that was the Spanish pronunciation. Well, we don't make it easy. The doors open and fold back on themselves. Yes, right. You've got to fold.
Oh, I have to fold it.
You
I know that.
fold this way. And there's a curtain on the left-hand side. Okay.
Here's the fold.
And after that, you click your heels 3 times. All right, we'll bow towards the ark. Well, we're not done yet. You're going to close the curtain. We don't make it easy. Okay. closed, the doors remain open. Thank you so much, Yasher Koach, that was very lovely. Thank you, Dr. Stein. Well done. Okay, everyone may be seated. And it's not to be a paragraph. Right, we haven't done this in a while. Let's take a look at 29 at the bottom, secret things. And I would love for someone to explain this to me, really. It's a bunch of stuff strung together and I don't quite get it. But it's on the left-hand side, second paragraph from the bottom. We'll read together. The secret things belong to Adonai our God. What is revealed belongs to us and to our children forever, that we may apply all the provisions of his teaching. Revelation does not deal with the mystery of God, with a person's life as it should be lived in the presence of that mystery. His teaching is not beyond reach. It is not in heaven that you should say, who among us can go up to heaven and get it for us and impart it to us, that we may do it? No, the word is very close to you in your mouth and in your heart to do it.
ואהבת קל תסיר ממנו לעולמי. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל.
On 30 we have the Shema. We cover our eyes for the first line only. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. And these words which I command you this day you shall take to heart. Teach them diligently to your children, and recite them at home and away, night and day. Bind them as a sign upon your hand, and as a reminder above your eyes. Inscribe them upon the doorposts of your homes and upon your gates. All right, please read silently the paragraph at the bottom of 30.
למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם Adonai Elohim, amen.
And 32, we've got the Milchamocha, and that, of course, is from the book of Exodus, and they sing it at the Sea of Reeds after the destruction of Pharaoh's cavalry.
Milchamocha ba'elim Adonai, Milchamocha elad ha'kodesh lo horatzi lo. ראו בניך בוקיים לבני משה, צליאנו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך יום ונאמר כיף אדוני יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
Top left-hand paragraph. At this point, we think about the folks we know, friends, relatives, Jews, Gentiles, anyone at all, in need of healing, physical, mental, spiritual healing. We'll go around and people can mention names of folks they know. Thinking about Adele Greenblatt, went to visit her in the hospital. She's in good spirits, but she did have a stroke and will have to have PT to feel better. So we pray for her refuah shalema, a quick and speedy recovery. Okay? All right.
Lydia Tower.
Refuah shalema. Yes.
Stanley Gann, and
Refuah
Ruth
shalema.
Bader Gittenberg.
Refuah
Yeah,
shalema.
thank you.
Okay, yes.
Bart Dozer, Bart
Refuah shalema. Refuah shalema.
Kill my son.
That's all my mind was.
That's okay. Yes.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Yes, well, sure, why not? Refuah
I was gonna
shalema.
say the same, we all.
Yes, I don't know, can we think of any other Supreme Court justices in need of a blessing? Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, we can. Yes, Jason.
Michelle Gomez,
Refuah shalema.
James O'Byrne,
Refuah shalema.
Doug Bernickel.
Refuah shalema. Okay, yes, sir.
Rabbi Glasson.
Refuah shalema. Okay, someone else? Yes, Toby.
Todd Austin,
Refuah shalema. I'll go
Nancy
back to you.
Austin,
Refuah
and
shalema.
Lauren Mallett.
Refuah shalema. Yes, sir.
David Wasserman.
Refuah shalema.
Baker.
Refuah shalema.
Tony DeGina, Douglas DeGina.
Refuah shalema.
Stuart Epstein.
Refuah shalema. What? You're gonna tell me later. Okay, yes, doctor.
Kevin Downs,
Refuah shalema.
Paul Dexel.
Refuah shalema. Okay. All right, coming around the corner, yes.
Joe and Arnold Cousins,
Refuah shalema.
Arlene Carl.
Refuah shalema. Okay.
Bruce Martin.
Refuah shalema. Refuah shalema.
Rebecca Weinstein and Dr. Donald Conger.
Okay, refuah shalema. Okay, I know he wanted to mention his name, James Basmeji, refuah shalema. Okay, let's read the English paragraph on the top left of 33. Help us, Adonai, to lie down in peace, and awaken us again, our sovereign, to life. Spread over us your shelter of peace. Guide us with your good counsel. Save us because of your mercy. Shield us from enemies and pestilence, from starvation, sword, and sorrow. Remove the evil forces that surround us. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings, O God, who watches over us and delivers us, our gracious and merciful ruler. Guard our coming and our going. Grant us life and peace now and always. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Praise you, Adonai, who spreads the shelter of peace over us, over all his people Israel, over Jerusalem, and the entire world. Oh, also Joel Schur, refuah shalema.
Ufros aleinu sukkah shlomecha. Ufros aleinu sukkah shlomecha. Baruch atah Adonai, apores sukkah shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim, ve'al Yerushalayim, ve'al Yerushalayim. Amen.
34 is the Shamru.
Veshamro b'nei Yisrael et hashavat la'asot et hashavat לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות Shabbat by Nafash, Shabbat by Nafash, Shabbat by Nafash, Veshamru Bnei Yisrael et HaShabbat, Lasot et HaShabbat.
Please rise, have Kaddish, bottom of 34.
יתגדל ויתקדש, שמרבה. ירבה דברה, חילותי וימליך מלכותי. ויעירנו ימליכות, ויעירנו וישראל. בגלה, ובצער קריב, ויתפאר ויתרומם, ויתנשא, ויתהדר, ויתעלה, ויתהלל, שמי קודשה, ואלה מכל מלכתה, ושירתה. ושפחתה ולהמתה, להמירו ימה,
All right, the Amidah, the standing silent prayer, 35b, and concluding on 38, after which you may be seated.
Shalom, Shalom, Uyasle Shalom, Aleinu, Ve'ale Kol Yisrael, Ve'imru, Amen.
Yes, full Kaddish, which is page 48, not 48, yes, 49, yeah, 48, 48, full Kaddish.
יתגדל ויתקדש השם מרבה ויאלמן יברח יהודה וימליך מלכותו וחיכול וימיכול וחידכול בית ישראל בעלה ושמגרים ואימרו ידיש ויראה ולאורה ולאורה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר וידרום ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה על השם הקודשה ואלה מכל ברכתה ושירתה ושבחתה ונחמתה מן המלמה ואימרו תתקבל את שרת רבותו לכל ישראל כדם עבוד משמיה ואימרו וישלם הרבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו על כל ישראל ואימרו עושה שלום במרומה ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואימרו אמן עושה שלום במרומה ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל
All right, this time, wait a couple of minutes for the Kiddush Macharot to give out the necessary potables. And the Kiddush is on page 49.
Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Borei beni hagafen Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ורצה בנו ושבת קודשו ואהבה ורצון הכין לנו זיכרון למעשה בראשית כי הוא יום תחילה במקראי קודש זכר יציאת מצרים קיבלנו בחזרה אותנו קידשת מכל העמים ושבת קודשך ואהבה ורצון הנחלתנו ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש
All right, 51 is the Aleinu.
Thank you.
I will ask
Empty
Sherry
cups?
and her visitor from New York, Ms. Miriam, to honor us by opening the ark, or I understand they have arks as well. I've seen arks. Boy, The ark is closed, curtain, doors, thank you. If you're not saying mourner's Kaddish, you may be seated. Thank you. Nice to thank you so much. All right, the mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbi. Amen. Yalmad yivrach irutei v'yamliach malchutei. V'chayechon v'mechon v'chayei t'chol beit Yisrael. Agalo v'zman kariv v'yivru. Amen. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. Yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei t'kudisha b'rehu. V'elah min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nachamata. Tamiran v'yalma v'yimru. Amen. Yehesh lama rabba min shemaya. Chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol Yoshvei Tevel v'yimru. Amen. All right, before Cantor leads us in the Adon Olam, which is on 54, a few words from our wonderful president, Ms. Rita Fleming.
Good Shabbos, everyone. So happy to see you here. New faces and wonderful faces that I know so well. Welcome, welcome. I hope you'll be with us forever and always. Before I tell you about the events coming up, I want to tell you about a tremendous act of kindness. So who doesn't want to hear about that? We are so blessed to have come into our congregation a wonderful couple, Dr. Mitchell Klein and his wife Sarah. And this week, I call you Mordecai, because that's how you were introduced. So this week, Mordecai responded to an emergency from a beloved member of our congregation and came into his office. He's a wonderful dentist. Came into his office, opened the office especially. I want to thank you personally, first of all, for both of you being here in your wonderful company. Second of all, for caring so much for another treasured member of our congregation, that you did this. And I think in these times when we hear so many hard things, to hear about an act of kindness that took quite a bit of doing, I thought I wanted to share that with you. And Dr. Klein gave me permission to do that. So thank you, Mordecai, so much. Thank you, Sarah, for your beautiful presence. We love having you here with us. I wanted to tell you that Rabbi already told you that he's going to be off this week?
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you.
okay, so that schedule is taken care of. On Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, come for Minyan with Cantor Javier. And what's coming up in January is very special. I've spoken to you about it before, but it bears repetition. We are blessed at Temple Shalom to have been gifted with a financial gift to establish the Annette Basloff Finger Center for Learning and Remembrance, which will be with us in perpetuity. And the first event of that foundation will be our own Annette Finger speaking about her experience as a hidden child. And on the same morning, Stanley Eisen, who is another one of our members, had the great pleasure of knowing Dr. Bela. I believe his last name is Zerle, and he was a person, a righteous Gentile, who rescued Jewish people with the Nazi invasion. The two subjects will tie in together beautifully, because Annette will speak about the hidden children of the Holocaust, and Stanley will be speaking about Dr. Bela and his experience of hiding our people and keeping them safe. So that's Sunday morning, January 13th. There is a brunch, a Sunday brunch, a beautiful one. The menu has been worked on very carefully, and it will be a luxurious brunch. Come, be with us, support this wonderful foundation. And on the, on the 18th, we're going to be celebrating Tu B'Shvat, the holiday of fruit. We have been sponsored by by Cantor Solomon Vaz Diaz for a lovely lovely Seder, Tu B'Shvat Seder on Friday night, the 18th of January. So come for that. That is open to everyone. It's a holiday of fruit, so the Seder is made up of fruit, and there will be also a light meal to go with it. Come and join us. This is the first Tu B'Shvat Seder, I believe, that we're having at Temple Shalom.
I think so, yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Last year was the first time that I had the great pleasure of attending a Tu B'Shvat Seder at Cantor Solomon's home. And this year he wanted to share that with us here. So come, Friday night, the 18th. In February, we're going to have February 16th. It's a secret. Don't tell anyone. But we're going to be having a book signing by our own Laura Durant. Her book has been published. It's called Shh, Listen. And our wonderful Laura, who runs our group sessions on Monday morning, is going to be signing books. And we'll have, of course, we have to have something to eat, so of course there'll be something to eat. A little signing, a little eating. But you'll be seeing the date published in the bulletin. I wanted to just give you a little preview of that. And on the 22nd of February will be our first joint Shabbaton with Federation. We are now legitimate member of the East Broward County Jewish Federation community, and we hope to be doing many, many events. This is our first event. Please come. Please come. Please come. Well, if you're not going to be here, I could not. But if you're here, please do come. You'll read about it in the bulletin. It's a fully catered dinner, and you'll see everything about the cost of that. Check the bulletins. I love being with you on Shabbos. I love being with you every day of the week. So come. And my wishes from my husband and myself, from our household to all of your households, for a healthy, happy, prosperous new year and peace for our world. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Just one little advertisement for myself. Tomorrow the post-service discussion group will be Intellectual Proofs of God. There's Rabbi David Wolpe, there's Dr. Sam Harris, the noted atheist, and we're going to go back to the Middle Ages with Yehuda Halevi, and also, can't forget Rambam. Gotta have my Maimonides. Okay? So we're going to knock it around a little bit. Okay? Thank you. All right, page 54 is the Adon Olam.
Adon Olam, Adon Olam, Asher Ma'olam, V'terem kol yitzim nivra Adon Olam, V'gid Nassar, V'chem Tzorkot, Azai Melech Shemo nivra Adon Olam, Adon Olam, Asher Ma'olam, V'terem kol yitzim nivra, V'gid Nassar, V'chem Tzorkot, Azai Melech Shemo nivra Adon Olam, Ve'akarei Kidlot HaKol, Ve'alo Yivlon Gora Adon Olam, Ve'hu Aya, Ve'hu Omer, Ve'hu Yeh V'tifara Adon Olam, Ve'hu Echad, Ve'yan Sheni, Ve'am Shilo Ve'akbira Adon Olam, Ve'Reshit, Ve'Tachlit, Ve'Ma'oz Ve'Hamisa Adon Olam, Adon Olam, Asher Ma'olam, V'terem kol yitzim nivra, V'gid Nassar, V'chem Tzorkot, Azai Melech Shemo nikra Adon Olam, Ve'hu Eli, V'chai Goli, V'tzurkem li V'yitzara Adon Olam, Ve'hu Nisli, U'man Nosli, Ve'natosi Ve'yom nikra Adon Olam, Ve'ya'ado, Afkid Rufi, Ve'tishan Ve'ayira Adon Olam, Ve'imrufi, Geviyati, Adonai li ve'lo ira Adon Olam, Adon Olam, Asher Malach, V'terem kol yitzim nivra, V'gid Nassar, V'chem Tzorkot, Azai Melech Shemo nikra Adon Olam. Please rise for the blessing and benediction.
יברכך אדוני וישמרך,
Lord bless you and keep you.
יאיר אדוני פניו אליך ויחונך,
Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious
יישא
unto
אדוני
you.
פניו אליך וישם לך שלום.
Lord turn his face into you and grant you peace. We'll say it. Shana Tova, happy and a healthy secular new year to you. It's the year of the Lord. Last year was the year of the